Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 48 of Syncing with ServiceNow. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. I've got my team on here, Fred Reynolds and Mike Sabia. We'll go to Fred first. Fred, how's it going?
It's going great, Andy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'll be doing better if you answer the following question. I know it's going to be a good answer. Whether it's a perfect answer or not, we'll see. 3 years into the practice, have we lost a customer yet?
We have not lost a customer to date, Andy.
Yeah. Why is that? What are we doing that makes us? What are we doing that makes
Well,
customers want to keep working with us?
and I tell you, like I tell a new client or potential new client we talk to, look, things are not always going to be perfect, but the truth is, we need to be there, work side by side, and work through any challenging issues we have. There's a lot, and this is a very complicated platform, so there's a lot of things that people make assumptions about, and we do that in our personal life, so it's easily to relate to that. So
Yeah.
anytime we have any type of misunderstandings, misalignments, whether it's from a delivery, whether it's from a from a licenses understanding. We just really keep working through it to make sure we
Yeah.
are all on a complete understanding and that we're in this together through the good as in the bad. And so
Right.
we've been really doing a lot of good, but we've had challenges where there's been misunderstandings, but we just stick with it and make sure that our clients are 100% satisfied before we leave it.
Yeah.
That's
The relationship between us, ServiceNow, and the client is a
yes,
partnership, and it's how you balance that partnership that matters the most.
100%.
No, knowing that in our case, the value added reseller partner in that, which is us, is more than likely going to have to go above and beyond to balance the partnership.
Indeed.
Yep. Mike Sabia. Mike, how's it going?
It is going pretty well. Thank you.
Good. Good. I always do this to you. What's the most interesting project you've come across in the last 2 weeks?
I think the CRM stuff is fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I
But have
mean,
you had a client want to talk about this yet?
I don't think so yet. I mean, it's pretty new. Even ServiceNow's way they describe it is kind of fuzzy. Like in
Yeah.
some places, they've referred to CRM as the old style CRM, and now it's like CRM with CSM. And in
Mhm.
other places, it's like CRM is kind of like the new umbrella that's on
Yeah.
top of CSM and FSM. So it's
Yeah.
brand spanking new. I have a lot of exposure with a lot of the stuff that is included in CRM. I was just pulling up some of the now learning training around this, and I'm like, oh, it's my good friend Fernando, the Fernando Castro Alvarez, who I worked at my last partner, has now been at CDW the last 2 years. He's the person, and back in the day, we had lots of discussions about sold products, which has always been a CSM topic, but now it's considered CRM foundations.
Yeah.
So new, but very familiar.
Yeah,
Andy,
when I first thought of them, ServiceNow getting the CRM space, I thought, a competitor replacement for Salesforce, and and I think there are aspects of that, which is what they're angling to do. However, what Mike just added two other elements to it, a CRM that rides on top of CSM, or a CRM that rides on top of CSM and field services. That's probably the right way to look at a CRM in 2025 versus the legacy way of, just contacts and accounts and opportunities being the
Absolutely.
So
foundation.
Andy,
Fred,
I know the question was for Mike, but Mike's I know he's been in workshops for the last couple of weeks too with some a new customer deploying something out.
Mhm.
So to be fair to him, but I would tell you I've had a couple of conversations in the last 2 weeks. Post knowledge with some that are looking at some different licensing applications, and they've been really good conversations. I'm really looking forward to this podcast. We can pick Mike's brain a little bit, but part of some of the reasons that even looking at it is I know it'll come out of this podcast. But my conversation with them has been about they're not using one of the bigger CRMs like a Salesforce or things like that. They're
Mhm.
hodgepodging it together. And I'm like, well, you have a platform to build upon those things that can go end to end for you. And now, ServiceNow does have CRM. So we're starting those conversations with clients now.
Yeah,
And I think there's going to be some good traction here. I wouldn't
yeah,
have thought it five
you're
years
already
ago,
using
but I
it
do
to
think it.
manage other parts of your business, like IT. Of course, no brainer for that.
Exactly.
Now you've got powerful platform that's now doing this other stuff.
I think it's just awareness. I think the customers, I mean, a lot of people don't even realize it still does beyond IT, right? So, I
Yeah,
mean, so we just got to do some more education, which is why
and,
we
and
do these podcasts.
well, and a lot of people bought it to manage IT, and they've never gotten that done. And that's where, okay, now it's time to do the commercial. That's where we help. That's where we can help get this done. We're proactive in the education space around ServiceNow and whatever is and whatever's next. But there's a lot of companies out there that bought ServiceNow to do X in the IT department, and they haven't gotten that done yet. And let's get that done, then we'll figure out where to go from there,
We
including
for
the
sure Yeah, we should for sure do that first. Fred mentioned that I've been in workshops with the customer, and at first glance, it's a fairly traditional ITSM implementation, but they got CSM licenses with it, and they want to go into CSM. They want to go into the CSM use cases, but they have to have that foundation first, and then we'll grow into it in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And that goes back to my point a while ago, being the partner that helps the client and ServiceNow get to where, the original goal was, and then from there we can grow together. Okay, we got a blog from May 6th. It's from Terrence Cheshire, I think is how you would say it. The name of the blog is, the name of the blog is Your Customer Has Changed. Why hasn't your CRM? I think it goes right back to what you and I were just saying, Mike, about the legacy CRM concept is all about an account and a contact and an opportunity and some marketing, whereas this CRM is intended to help you understand, the business you're already doing and how you leverage that for your CRM as a foundation. Mike, I guess maybe just using the first paragraph or two here where it has the three elements. What's the reason why this blog was written?
I think it builds upon what you were just saying. People want something more than the old bloated legacy CRM. They want to be able to take advantage of AI and the virtual agents to allow people to self-service them. That's the first one. Two, the contact center is moving to the cloud. You have as we've spoken many times before, ServiceNow is that single pane of glass into a whole platform of offerings and solutions. And if you're able to look at where they are today and where they want to go and what the tools are to make that happen, then it's just so much more powerful. And then third, just that customers and organizations are tired of the bloated legacy CRM apps that were cobbled together.
The second one interests me. I guess there's still a lot of on-premises CRM solutions out there. I don't know the numbers. They talk about it all?
They do not, I don't believe.
Yeah, but there's got to be a bunch still out there.
Yeah, and I would even probably include some of the on cloud, but are very, focused on CRM and don't have that full, pane of glass into the organization.
Well, maybe a better way to say it is there's a whole lot of on-prem lift and shift that happen versus taking a whole new look at it, which is what ServiceNow is really talking about doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Andy, let's go back to the first part. I probably have more to say in this one little top part than probably the rest. Because when you look at this title, your customer has changed, why hasn't your CRM? I mean, have we really changed as customers? Because the way I look at this, there's so much data-driven things out there right now, and you got the use of AI, you have all these things. I don't think it's so much that our customer has changed. We want good service. We call into someone to get service. If we go into a customer relationship management tool, and the problem is still today, most of the places I call, I have to repeat myself 100 times, right? It shouldn't be that way, even for my own customer data. But now things are moving forward. It is more end to end. And I know this gets into where this blog is going, but it is end to end. You're calling for a customer service problem, but they're not the ones helping you with the delivery of that service or fulfilling that service, right? So it's so separate and disorganized. And I think it's been that way for a long time. So as customers, we haven't changed. I just don't think the CRMs have caught up to what we really need from something to manage us.
Well, how about this? If you could rewrite the title here, it'd say your customer's needs have changed over time. Has your CRM changed with it?
Yeah, I don't much change it. Do we finally have a CRM that can actually make customer success high?
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point. It's all about we mentioned customer success a couple of times here, but if you can start there, everything else should be logical afterwards.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, Mike, next in the body of the blog here, the next one is the title is ServiceNow's Approach to CRM. What are they covering here?
Well, it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, where ServiceNow kind of is using the term CRM in a couple different ways. In some places, they're referring to CRM as the legacy CRM, and in some cases, they're putting the CRM over those three main capabilities in the area, of one of which is CSM, and then there's FSM, and then there's the order management. And a lot of the things they're talking about are things in CSM already. The omni-channel, reaching the customer and being able to get their asks, whether it comes from email or web or phone or chat messaging, to be able to have those come in and be able to self-service them with the capabilities that are already in CSM. So in some ways, it's a spin on CSM, but on the other hand, it's really making it bigger. Taking the foundation that's already CSM and just extending a little bit more to prospective customers and what they want, not just supporting them in their call center needs.
Yeah. Fred, comments?
I haven't because I'm reading exactly what it says. It says that what ServiceNow is trying to do is reinvent CRM to help companies deliver better end-to-end sales and customer service. And when Mike says
Mhm.
they have that omni-channels and we've had that of the way to deliver it, it says here in this article that it's only half the story. The other half is actually helping to solve those and build those workflows. And that's what's so good about ServiceNow is that it can help get that done because it has a lot of the workflows, the automations, the integrations, the way to bring that end to end. So I think that's the real thing is that yes, we've had ways of telling people how we want help, need help through modes of omnichannels, texting, email, you name it. The problem is it doesn't come back in the way of being done and quick enough and told us how it was done and when it was done because there's no closed loop on that circuit in my opinion. So I think that's how they're reinventing the CRM so it can actually go end to end all in one cycle.
Right. And although this section doesn't mention virtual agent, with some of the great AI capabilities, where instead of having to create, your own conversations around virtual agent, you can expose AI to all the catalog items, all the things that you could do, expose that to a customer, allow them to self-service. Oh, I want this, or I need help with this, or I want to dispute this. It really pulls together now that we have the AI to facilitate that type of interaction without having to hard code all those conversations.
Yeah. Mike, the next section talks about contact center integrations. I just had a flashback to the very first time I ever saw a CRM, probably 2003, 2004 time frame. It was a client server scenario, and all I took away from it was just a contact manager. What is ServiceNow covering here in this section?
I think a lot of what they're covering is the fact that, a call center is more than just, hey, let me get my call, but it's also the IVR, the voice prompts. Hey, you're calling through some of the Amazon voice capabilities to then bring it into ServiceNow. If you're able to, have it from the phone call through the IVR, the interactive voice recognition, to be able to have the voice prompts come into ServiceNow and be able to handle those questions, or allow them to come into your portal and allow them to look and see what you can have. There's the best contact center. It's not just talking to somebody. It's also, hey, I go into the portal or I go into the order guide. I'm able to see what I want. I'm able to request it. I'm able to ask for these things because sometimes they're all very complicated. And then, request a quote. The salesperson is able to then build an estimate and present it to the customer, and they can respond, which does talk. I am kind of getting ahead on this article.
Yeah, I think you are. But I started to glance down as you said that. I was like, surely they're going to cover that in the article because that's a no-brainer. The ability to have someone call in, you can get their sentiment, you can understand what they're calling in about, and then you have the ability for a virtual salesperson to be able to reach back out and offer something of value to them without a human being involved. That seems like a natural. And I guess we'll talk more through this article about it.
To be able to tie into some of those procurement systems or the quoting systems, or even utilize those within ServiceNow, whether you want to do that quote to order within ServiceNow or use those integrations to external systems.
Well, while we're talking about, we'll go to the next section. It says AI agents for CRM. Is that part of what you were covering?
It is quite a bit. So I mentioned just a moment ago about talking about the virtual agents, how it can go and find out what you have. Well, the idea of agentic AI is it's not just, hey, typing some prompt into ChatGPT. It's allowing AI to act for your benefit with you having to do it. So a customer asks, and that AI agent goes and gets the information, or does orchestration on your behalf. So bringing that AI into it, where you can speed up the creation of the workflows, or have the AI determine what needs to be provided without, as they say, the quote painful step of dialogue flow design, intent model training, slot filling, and so on. Quote.
Yeah. Fred, any comments on the AI agent for CRM portion?
Well, both sections, right? I think you guys just said a lot right there. You probably don't realize how impactful that is to somebody who runs a contact center or a service desk. So having a contact center that integrates with ServiceNow, number one, you have people that are taking calls or whatever mean they're getting information in there, and now you're driving that into a system that can do a lot more with that. So create a unified experience where it's getting the information, even if it's from a delivery side and from that sales side in one place. You lay AI on top of that, and Mike said, I like the way you said it. You got agents that are out there performing some of the tasks you may need. It's live. It's while you're working with that customer. Summarization of some of the cases you may be putting in. So much is happening behind the scene. It's so quick, and that's the kind of great experience you can deliver through a good contact center plugged into ServiceNow and having the integration in the back end.
Yeah.
Because when you're taking those calls, you're asking questions, you're trying to figure out what it is, there's a lot of routing, there's a lot of information that should be needed to help the conversation move forward. And you go back 20 years, you had a conversation with someone, it kind of ended, someone had to reach out with you. Even that probably went back and forth a bunch. It doesn't have to be that way these days. You call a contact center, they should know who you are, what information, you tell them what you're calling about, they should pull up all your records. All this should be happening live so that you're getting the service you need very quickly. So I think, I tell you, there's another thing, Andy. When you do a podcast with probably 3C Logic and a webinar with 3C Logic, when they show you their contact center integration natively into ServiceNow, it will blow you away. It is so nice,
Yeah.
so neat how they have AI agents working today with it.
Yeah. Fred, do you remember the first time you called it to a customer success number or customer service number and it knew who you were and it addressed you as Fred and maybe even thanked you for being a XYZ level customer?
Oh yeah,
It was like, wow. And that's
yeah.
nothing compared to what we're, going to be experiencing, but it felt so much better and gave
And
you a
Andy, and I feel
sense.
like we've been stuck in that mode for quite some time. That's why I'm
Yeah.
very excited about where things are headed, because I do feel
Well,
like, hey, now it knows who I am, but it doesn't know the past. It doesn't know that I've called in a bunch of times with the same issues. It doesn't give
yeah.
me suggestions. So like, what's getting ready to open up in the realm of self help and calling into places to get information? You don't always
Mhm.
expect the person answering the phone to be able to help you 100%, but with the
Yeah.
capabilities of these integrations of AI, I mean, I think we're getting close to having the information at their fingertips.
Yeah, it should 100x that
Yes,
experience.
I agree.
Mike, next session talks about field service. What are they covering here?
So they're kind of putting CSM and FSM and order management under this CRM umbrella. So field service management is part of that. If you have ServiceNow know what you have already purchased, the sold products you have, then it can ask the proper questions, and then it can also see, hey, I need this medical equipment installed at a patient's home, or I need some biomedical maintenance, or I need to have some sort of technician come to my business to fix whatever happens, to tie into that field service management into that single pane of glass, have some of the AI capabilities to facilitate sending your technicians to the correct place in the correct order, to be able to allow people to self-service. It's a natural part of that big CRM umbrella.
Yeah, I mean that's extremely painful, right? When you're trying to work through some agent, and that has to get translated to a field service person, and then they show up today, no idea what you told the agent. That should never be. But at this point, we rely on human beings to communicate that information versus just this natural workflow. Freddie, comments on field service?
Yeah, I'll kind of use like your analogy. I mean, we've always called in to get help, especially with the field. Let's just say it's your cable company or something. They schedule a
How
tech
did I know you're going to talk about the cable company?
because I always have to call my cable company. So they're always coming out, right? And they're always, someone in a rush and they leave and they seem like they don't have the notes from the last person that was there. I mean, this is one place I think it's going to really start to improve when they start using AI. So when they go to a place, they can use it to help, summarize the work that was performed, create the proper notes when they close out, give all the information that was needed to help support it and summarize it. And they don't have to type all that stuff. They just have to let the system work it right by answering a few questions. So I think that there's a couple of new things that me and Mike were talking about earlier around field services, and I want to look more into it because I don't know. But it says that they're also coming up with field service marketplace, which is enables outsourcing tasks to contractors, because that's a
Yeah.
big part of what people do when they use service work is use contractors. So this actually brings those contractors in there and helps document and track all of them as well. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
cool things I think they've added to FSM since I've looked at it last.
Yeah. Next section here talks about expansion to sales. They have a quote here in one of the pictures. It says ServiceNow makes it possible to sell, service, and fulfill on one platform. The ServiceNow AI platform for business transformation. I like that they threw in business because look, the sales thing, right? It needs a business overhaul. It really does.
Yeah.
Mike, thoughts on this?
Pretty much what you said. I mean, we have to take a bigger step. We can't have all these separate systems. Somebody making a request, somebody have to go into the quoting. You have to create the quote. You have to send to the customer. They have to respond back. If you're able to have, that sales and order quoting in ServiceNow, rather than kind of like a step up from just a regular service catalog, we're able to expose to the customer, say, hey, this is what we have. You can say you want this with this variety and this item, and maybe a little bit of that can be automatically quoted, but often you need to, because it has services involved as well, they be able to specify what they want, start building that quote, have a salesperson go in to be able to see some of those dynamic items, to create that quote, send that quote to the customer, have the customer accept it, and then it goes right into your order system. It's the next step into that type of ordering.
Yeah. Fred, thoughts here?
Man, a ton, right? I think this should one of the smallest sections, which should be one of the largest, because if anybody who has a company that selling the product, selling the service, and especially somebody that has a product and provides services for it, this is a no-brainer. It was something that my previous company, I could never really tie the knot and get it done. But when you are supporting customers and people are calling in, it should be one motion to say, hey, I've noticed that you're on this software level, or I noticed this, or this complements that well. Well, by the way, can I give you this offer for this next thing? I mean, you have to do it in that same motion where you're servicing someone, but you're always also offering them new products, new opportunities, new services to go along what they need. And you really have to have that with either two systems that are tightly integrated together, or you can do it all within one platform like
Yeah.
ServiceNow. And that's why I think ServiceNow, honestly, will start capturing more of the CRM market, as is so widely used in the service delivery space, as they get more and more of the sales side of the house and it working together. I think with the AI, with all the things that are happening, you'll see a lot more of that. And it should make it easy for customers to get this service and extra support that they need, even if that's sales.
It, absolutely. And I think maybe today we rely on a human being to have one or two things they can bring up at the very end of a call versus having really detailed knowledge around where the customer's at and what their real needs are, where they could offer 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things to the client, all of which data is pointing us to is necessary and needed, and it's going to benefit the client.
You know, and if I called into my cable company, Andy, and they said, "Oh, by the way, I see that you have an old," it already knew that I had an old receiver or something. Would you like for me to send you a new one? And by the way, it's going to cost you $5. I'd rather do it all right there, self-serve, click a button, and not have to talk to anyone or wait
Yeah.
to get transferred 3 times. I mean, that's where it
Yeah.
goes from. That's why
Well,
Salesforce
and you just said something interesting. Click a button. No, not a click a button. Just say yes. Either type
yeah,
it on the
very
keyboard
true.
or say it.
Yep.
Mike, next section is it's got an acronym, CPQ. I don't know what that is. I probably should. What is CPQ?
Yeah, you're kind of building on that whole sales and order management, and some of the things I was talking about, where you have that configure price quote. You want to say, hey, this is what I want it. This is how I want it configured. What's the, how do I price it? How do you quote that? And this article is talking about how ServiceNow has some of that with the sales and order management, but they're looking to further extend it through an acquisition of Logic AI, which they hope to have come through in the second half of the year. Yeah. The second half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Fred, comments on this one?
No, I just think it's like their effort to accelerate that. The quoting the sales motions, or trying to make it a quick and painless process, and take it end to end to be able to capture what needs to be done from a services as well.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of companies out there that are going to want to build on top of the ServiceNow platform for the CRM piece, because it's going to open up a lot of new opportunities and doors for these third-party companies to want to be part of that CRM holistic solution that we're talking about here. Mike, next section talks about industry products.
Right. So just as you might have like ITSM for IT, and then you have CSM above that for your extending your customers, there are also in the last few years what they call these industry products, where ServiceNow has gone above and beyond just generic CSM into certain industries like healthcare or retail or technology performance, and a couple of others. So if we're talking about CRM, we need to talk about those industry products to have that industry-centric data model. Some of that stuff that has already been being built for retail, for finance, for healthcare, and then being able to go above that and say, hey, we have CRM and specifically to this industry. We're not, just have some generic that we're then can build for your industry. No, they already have a lot of this industry stuff built up already.
Yeah. Fred, comments here?
Yeah, not too much to add, except for, I mean, that's very powerful to have a platform that already has industry focus, already built in workflows, already has taken the time to understand that industry and their pain points to make it easier for someone to adopt and use, and help make that industry a lot smaller by making sure everybody understands the challenges that all are having in that same industry and try to solve
Right.
them.
I think going back to examples you guys have given from your previous employer, where you guys brought something to them and said, "Hey, I think this is needed in the platform," and you guys wrote it, and then they
Yep.
turned around and listened to their clients and put it in. And I think that's could be across the platform, and also could be industry specific.
No, and I think, Andy, that's one of the biggest things and why I really like ServiceNow from the beginning of starting to use it. There wasn't things there that we needed a long time ago. I mean, me and Mike been in this platform for 10 plus years, and there's things that weren't there. But the thing is, as you work, as you develop, I mean, ServiceNow is looking, listening, and building it into there. They put a lot into
Yeah.
R&D, and they do that because they're trying to just like the generation of the platform in itself. I mean, they're trying to grow it and make that unifying platform. So they do a
Yeah.
really good job of listening and implementing those things that they see across all
Yeah.
the customers.
Yeah, and I'm sure they have the data to prove whether it's working or not
Oh
once
yeah.
they've seen other people do it. Okay, validation of our approach, Mike.
They're talking about the fact that there are some customers who are starting to take advantage of this, including Genesis, Five9, 3Logic, mentioning, that Gartner and Forrester and ISG are looking into that. They mention the value that comes, that they're kind of going back to that CRM point where they're kind of relabeling themselves as CRM, but it's really just a next step of that. They kind of say, hey, we're already a CSM, so we have this, $1.4 billion worth of effort already in that space. So it's validating the fact that Gartner and Forrester are recognizing them as such, and that they've found that foot, and it's not just conceptual, it's actual in practice opportunities.
I'm going to tweak what you said a little bit. They're a platform that has CSM at the heart of it, and that's going to make a great platform for building out a CRM.
Yep.
Fred, final thoughts here?
No, I guess of that last conversation, my final thoughts on that last conversation is the fact that, that digital transformation was a big buzzword, 10 years ago, probably still is at some point. People talk about transforming it. I mean, honestly, I think this platform, and that's why I liked it back then and love it now, is it really does provide you a platform to really do true transformation. You just have to be able to use it, and your user, your company has to be able to accept change, and that's the way you would drive that. But I do believe, because of some of the new additions that ServiceNow is making, especially in this area, and I think CRM is going to grow a lot in the next 2 years in ServiceNow to pick up some other pieces where I think they're weak. It is going to really truly make that one platform you can do your business all the way across. Now, will they ever pick up some of the payroll and things like that? No, but the integrations are so tight, it can still make that very fluid through there. But the main motions of a company, I mean, you're already seeing top 2 or 3 here. So.
I'm going to use your comment around digital transformation to go back and take a look at the title again. It's your customer has changed. Are you has your customers changed? Their digital transformation has changed. Their needs have changed. Your CRM needs to change, and we're all in some evolution of digital transformation, and will be for the rest of our careers. This is an example of going from version 1 CRM world to version 1 went to version 2, which was cloud-based, still CRM. Now it's a CSM field service CRM solution, which is digital transformation CRM 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Andy, sitting here thinking about it and going back to that title, it makes me think, your customers changes. Really, it's the next generation of workforce is coming up. And the new, and we're getting old, the three of us, right? The new workers that are coming out, they're just so used to this, the media, that everything at their fingertips, mobile. I think more of that will go that way. And Andy, you even caught me like clicking on that button. That's old, right? You don't click buttons anymore. You kind of speak and you let it. I'm too country for it to interpret me correctly all the time, but you can speak, you can get whatever you want just by talking to it. We're
I
going to
think
see
it'll
more.
eventually figure you out.
It's trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike sees sometimes it emails me or texts me back, says, "Hey, was that speech to text?" Because it was
I did just last week.
the other day.
I may have some of those issues myself.
There you go.
Well, guys, appreciate you jumping on, covering yet another topic. Look forward to getting this posted and doing it again in a couple weeks.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Mike. Have a great day.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you.